Halloween Horror Nights has been in full swing for a few weeks already, and we have attended multiple nights so far. So we have learned tons about this year's event to help give you the best event possible. So stay tuned for some updated tips on HHN 2021.
Welcome back to the channel that takes you through the fog with another Halloween Horror Nights video, and this one is all about what tips you should know for this year's event. Now, before we do begin with those tips and updates, if you guys are new here to the channel, we talk about all things theme parks in the Orlando area. However, though, with our favorite event currently going on right now, it's been all about Halloween Horror Nights. So be sure to subscribe to the channel as well as giving this video a big thumbs up, for it does help us out to create more content just like this one in the near future. Also, if you guys really enjoyed this video as well as our channel's content, be sure to help us out even further by supporting us on Patreon, and we'll go ahead and leave all of that stuff down below in the description for you guys to check out. But now let's go ahead and carry on with today's video.
So just like we stated earlier, HHN has been running for a few weeks now, and we have been trying to go as often as we can. Now, as many nights as we have gone, we have learned some things about this year's event specifically that will help make your night go from good to great. And we'll start off with a few updates first.
Now, we have seen a total of 6 attractions open up during the event, which they are the Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit, you got the Mummy, you got Transformers, Escape from Gringotts, Men in Black, Alien Attack, and the Simpsons ride over in Springfield. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, in years past during the event, these rides usually have a shorter wait time, sometimes even like a walk-on. However, for this year, we noticed going around, all of the days that we've been going to Horror Nights, like Wednesday and Sunday even, they've been really busy, so even the rides themselves have had longer waits than usual. Some of them even 45 minutes plus, up to 70 minutes that we've seen for Rip Ride Rockit. However, if you guys are planning to do some of these rides during the event, there's no need to worry, because usually at the beginning of the event as well towards the end when the rides before they close up. Now, they do have different closing times.
Correct.
We're not too sure exactly what those closing times are.
Yes.
I think they're different.
The last time we went, we did notice that Transformers was closed at least an hour before the park closed. So definitely keep that in mind if you do want to go on some of those rides.
Yeah, but if you guys get in line right before they close up, you'll be able to get on the ride, so you have nothing to worry about that, and they're usually a shorter wait time at the end.
Another minor update to mention is that there is no roaming chainsaw horde in Springfield this year. Unfortunately, there have not been any chainsaws in Springfield yet. They could always bring them out later in the run, but we have not seen them there yet this year. Normally they do have them roaming around Springfield. Now, you can still see plenty of chainsaws if that is your thing though in the Eddy Street. And one of our last updates to mention, at least so far for this year, is that the Stay and Scream entrance for the Springfield holding area is in Central Park this year. So next to the crepe stand and the entrance of Marathon of Mayhem is where you will enter for that Springfield Stay and Scream.
Now, once you do enter this holding area, you're going to be greeted by 3 different selections to choose from, and those are the actual houses of what you're going to pick. So you have the Haunting of Hill House, you have Beetlejuice, and you have Scary Ohio Horror in the Heartland. Now, these houses do open up at around 5:45 p.m. we've noticed for the Stay and Scream guests who are waiting in those locations, which gives the guests who are staying in Stay and Scream much more time than the actual guests waiting for the official park opening at 6:30. Now, this actually leads us into some of the major tips that we've learned along the way.
The first one being to get to Stay and Scream early. So we have only used that Springfield Stay and Scream location so far because we do believe that it will give you the ability to go through the most houses in the shortest amount of time. But we have noticed that because of Hill House and Beetlejuice, this Stay and Scream location, like we kind of predicted, is very busy. The Stay and Scream locations do open up at 4 p.m., but we honestly recommend getting there at least 10 minutes before they open, just so that you are one of the first people in line so you can get through that first house as early as possible. Now, of course, this does only apply to those who have access to Stay and Scream, which we highly, highly recommend.
Now, following this route, if you're one of the first people to get into that Stay and Scream holding area, our next tip is for you to actually pick one of these two houses we're gonna mention, and that is the Haunting of Hill House or Beetlejuice. Both of these houses actually have an extremely long wait time to them throughout the run of the event. So that's why we recommend choosing one of those to go through first. Even the wait times for Stay and Scream, they run up to like 45 minutes to 60 minutes even. We've seen that every single night that we've gone to it. So that's why we recommend choosing one of those two houses. Now, we pick Hill House over Beetlejuice because in our opinion, that's just our favorite house compared to the two, and it's just a lot better. But it works either way. Once you finish up with that chosen house, you can do either one of these three options that we're going to present to you. The first one being simply to go ahead and get in line for the other house that you didn't choose at first. So like for instance, if we went through Hill House, go through Beetlejuice, or vice versa. If you went through Beetlejuice, go through Hill House. Now, this one actually is our least favorite of the three options, and we'll get to that in just a second.
And then the second option is going to be to head to the food booths that are located right at the entrances of these houses on your way out of that first house. Now, we recommend this because we've noticed that this year the lines for those food booths at the back of the park have been extremely long. This is the only place that you can get some of those themed foods like the Twisted Taters and the pizza fries. So if you are wanting to get some of those foods, this is the best time to get a short wait for those. And our next video is actually going to be us trying some of the different snacks out at HHN. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you are interested in the food at the event.
And our final option of the three that we actually highly recommend you choose is to go ahead and head over to the Scary Ohio house. Now, of course, this is assuming that you went through Beetlejuice or Hill House as one of the first guests. So when you get out, you can head over to Scary Ohio, which we've done that a couple times in the past and noticed that this house usually is still like a walk-on or no more than a 10-minute wait. And by the time we get off, it's still around roughly 6 o'clock. So you still have about 30 minutes before the park even opens up to regular guests for the event. Next thing you know, you've already completed 2 out of the 10 houses.
So once you've done Scary Ohio, our next tip is to head over to the tent houses. Now, these are going to be Wicked Growth and Puppet Theater. We have noticed that these two houses have been opening up around 6 p.m., which is still 30 minutes before the event even opens to regular guests. And keep in mind that a lot of those guests still have to make it all the way from the front of the park to the back of the park to get in line for these houses. So the lines for these two houses still stay relatively short into the beginning of the event. Now, if you are choosing between the two, the lines end up being relatively the same throughout the night, so you can choose either one, but personally, we prefer Wicked Growth.
Now, we did kind of give you guys a lot of information there to kind of follow along. So what we're going to go to do is, by sticking to those tips and that route that we gave you, we're going to give you a time reference onto what we've experienced by actually following those tips. So by getting into the Stay and Scream area at the Central Park and Springfield area, we usually get there around 4 o'clock. So we're one of the first people to actually go ahead and go through Hill House, which is the first house we choose. Once we finish up with Hill House, we head straight over to Scary Ohio. By this time, when we finish that house, we've done those two houses and it's about 6:05 to 6:10, and Wicked Growth as well as Puppet Theater are just now opening up. So we went ahead and went through Wicked Growth, get out of that house. Next thing you know, we're getting in line for Puppet Theater, and the park has now just officially opened up to guests. That means we've completed 4 out of the 10 houses and the event just started. So that's a lot. I mean, that's almost half of the event itself, and we still have like 8 hours left to go. So there's plenty of time for us to relax and enjoy the rest of the night.
So moving on to our next tip slash recommendation slash update, and that is that we have noticed that this year the park has been extremely busy every single night of the event. Like, we had a video earlier explaining how like Wednesdays and Sundays are typically the slower nights. They're pretty much like any other Friday or Saturday, at least so far this year in the event. Because of this, if you are going for, 1 or 2 nights, we highly recommend getting Express Pass because the lines have been long, even on those Wednesdays and Sundays. We always recommend Express Pass if you can budget it, just because It honestly makes your night just so much easier.
Simple, smooth, and easy.
Yeah, but we will have a video coming up pretty soon about how to do everything in one night without ExpressPass, so definitely stay tuned for that.
Now, moving on to our next tip, you're gonna wanna go ahead and stick around towards the end of the night for low wait times for the houses. Now, remember, Horror Nights usually closes at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. depending on what night you go. So that last hour to hour and a half of the park, most of the guests have cleared out because they are exhausted already. So that means all of those lines for the houses, we have noticed when we stick around later, just because we do enjoy around that time because those lines are completely empty. We've noticed houses being walk-ons to 5 minutes to really nothing more than about a 20-minute wait for any of the popular houses. So this is a great time for you to be able to try to capture and take advantage of these short wait times for the houses. So even though you may be really exhausted, if you're really wanting to do as much as you can for Halloween Horror Nights, stick around for that last hour because you'll be able to do as much as you can possible.
And our last tip, which is kind of a general tip, but also specific to this year, is to not be like us on opening night and be prepared for the rain. Now, in past years, it has rained like opening weekend, but we've noticed that this year it's rained almost every single night of the event so far. So definitely be prepared with a raincoat or poncho or extra pair of socks and shoes or whatever you need, because it has been raining a lot and even like just completely downpouring. And another upside to being super prepared for the weather, other than just not getting completely rained on, is that we have noticed this year that the slowest days of the event so far are the days where it rains the most. Just because people are clearing out, they don't want to stay if they did not prepare for the weather. So if you're prepared, you will get some of those lower wait times as people are leaving the park.
And another thing for you guys, do not be like us where we tell you to be prepared, we get ready, we are prepared, and we leave everything in the car. Make sure you have it with you.
Don't do that.
Yeah, because you don't want to be walking around completely soaked. For Horror Nights, it's a lot of walking and wet feet and wet socks and wet shoes.
Not fun. All right, so that does it for all of our updates and our updated tips for HHN 30, at least so far. Like we said, this year is shaping up to be a very busy year, but a very fun year nonetheless. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you are not already.
Now that's going to do it for us today in this video, guys. Thank you again so much for watching, and like we said, we have many more videos coming up very soon for all of you to watch about Halloween Horror Nights, so stay tuned, guys. But in the meantime, that's it for us, and we cannot wait to catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.